This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
Part 1. The need to equip family shepherds. Gaining a more biblical view of the family. Chapter 1. The Bible and the family's role in discipleship. Ask any Christian, who is responsible for discipling children? And you're likely to get the right answer. Their parents. However, probe further and you'll find confusion, conflation, equivocation, and perhaps downright indignation toward any approach to discipleship that's actually predicated on this unquestioned premise. While we all agree on the clear biblical mandate for parents to disciple their children, we're unclear as to what that entails. We're even less clear on the role the church is to play in offering instruction and support in this endeavor. Part of the problem lies in that we usually begin from the wrong starting point. Virtually all the debate over the discipleship of young people begins with the assumption that church structures and programs such as the nursery, children's church, Sunday school, and youth group are foundational discipleship tools, and whatever happens must take place within that framework. But what if those things didn't exist? What if there were no nurseries, or youth groups, or Sunday schools? How then would we propose a plan for one generation to tell to the coming generation the glorious deeds of the Lord, and His might and the wonders that He has done? Psalm 78, verse 4. Fortunately, we don't have to invent such a scenario from scratch. All we have to do is open the pages of the Bible and begin reading. There we find a world where the aforementioned programs and ministries did not exist. There we find a disciple-making model that looks almost nothing like the institutional structures with which we've become so familiar. And there we find family shepherds. Charles Hodge was president of Princeton Theological Seminary during its heyday in the mid-19th century. Back then, Princeton theology was the gold standard in Reformed circles. Hodge, and consequently Princeton, was on the cutting edge in the battle against both liberalism and mysticism. This theological giant, like many in his day, also had much to say about the family in general and family religion in particular. The head of the family, Hodge stated, should be able to read the scriptures as well as to lead in the prayer. All persons subject to the watch or care of the church should be required to maintain in their households this stated worship of God. A man's responsibility to his children, as well as to God, binds him to make his house a Bethel. If not a Bethel, it will be a dwelling place of evil spirits. Hodge also recognized the singular importance of the family in the broader scope of God's redemptive work. The character of the church and of the state depends on the character of the family. If religion dies out in the family, it cannot elsewhere be maintained. Unfortunately, such sentiment has been largely lost. Today, it's rare to find such clear, pointed words directed at heads of households concerning their responsibility to shepherd their families. Or if we do hear them, they're coming from the realm of psychological self-help, rather than emanating from the pens of pastors and theologians. However, things they are a-changin'. Little by little, we're beginning to hear the clarion call from voices like R. Albert Mohler, president of Southern Baptist Theological Seminary, the largest seminary in the world, and Wayne Grudem, perhaps the best-known theologian of our day, as well as John Piper, the pastor's pastor of the 21st century. No longer do we see this issue as one relegated to the limited genre of family literature. We're beginning to see this not only as an item of concern, but as one of the most important theological issues of our day. Sacred cows versus sacrificial lambs. The result of the kind of introspection I'm suggesting will be either 1, the destruction of some sacred cows, or 2, the continued slaughter of sacrificial lambs. The sacred cows are numerous, and I intend to identify them both directly and indirectly in the ensuing chapters.